So as you look to the stage, from right to left, we have Suzanne Nies, the project lead from Green Deal Ukraine, from the Helmholtz Center. Georg Zachman, the scientific lead, Green Deal Ukraine, from the Helmholtz Center also. Olha Yestnieva from the Reform Support Team, the Ministry of Energy Ukraine. And Adam Balog, the head of Ukrainian Support Task Force and the Energy Community Secretariat. I'll leave it with you. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to present here Green Deal Ukraine project and also energy community. Let's very briefly explain this project, trilateral project that seeks to set up an independent energy and climate think tank by Ukrainians for Ukraine with the following partners: Dixie Group, Helmholtz Center Berlin, Eco Action, as well as Kiev School of Energy Policy, Forum Energy, and the Florence School of Regulation. We have a very impressive advisory council for this project that looks into sustainable energy transition, EU membership of Ukraine from Germany, from Poland, from EU, and of course from Ukraine. The work streams that we are having: data modeling, policy advice, as well as capacity building. On the capacity building, we will be starting trainings for local energy advisors, national policy makers by the second half of this year. And now let's immediately dive into some contents that we are currently working at. And let me start here with this first picture before I hand over to my colleagues Georg Zachman and Olga Yestevnieva. When you look at this slide, it is the exchanges between Ukraine and the neighboring countries, what is possible. And the question is, how can this country survive the next winter? Of course, there will not be one single solution. There's a couple of solutions available, stretching from technologies, for example, dynamic line rating that can improve transmission capacity on the border by 10%, from building flexible power plants. Georg Zachman is going to talk about this in a second, from possibly building capacities outside of the country, and of course also from fixing the challenges in the neighboring countries, because Ukraine is of course not alone in this regional system. We are going to prepare a study for our October Kiev event, looking into solutions for this winter, next winter, 2030 and 40 on the regional electricity exchanges. I hand over to Georg Zachman now on the flexibility.
Yes. Thank you very much, Susanne. So what we have done in the last months is a study looking into the question of what will be the shortfall of Ukraine's electricity system. So we did with pipes model some modeling of Ukraine's generation and demand, taking into account the destructions of the past months. The study is published on our website, but very briefly, the main results for the next 12 months. What we see is that overall, about 20% of the electricity demand will not be delivered. That means about 5 hours per day of power cuts for everybody, industry and people alike, which probably is significantly higher in winter, and because the demand in winter goes up and the supply of hydro and solar goes down. So we are heading to an extremely difficult situation, as you have heard also here during the conference. We looked into a couple of solutions that can be brought forward by next winter. The first thing that needs to be clear to everybody is that Ukraine needs air defense and needs significantly more air defense, because otherwise also reconstruction is not possible, because nobody is coming to invest if their assets are not going to be protected. The second element is repairs. Here, the international partners try to help Ukraine. There are things like the energy community that is sitting here that are helping there. But the amount of repairs that are needed before next winter is huge. Third option is gas turbines, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Susanne spoke about imports. We think imports can solve maybe 20% of the problem of Ukraine, only the increase in imports, so a significant help is possible here. And renewables and batteries are mainly there to help in the summer, but they can also be a significant contribution, including for ancillary services. Again, I like to refer to our study where we essentially bring together all the numbers and hopefully have a good basis for discussion. A last word on flexible units. We did a paper together with Yuri Koprushko from Power that some of you might know. He's also here at the conference, and we presented this paper on Monday to a room full of 60 IFIs and investors. And the main message is the Ukrainian market has become much more attractive in principle to investors because regulatory barriers have been removed. On the other hand, Ukraine needs to resolve the challenge of war risk insurance, and that needs to happen extremely quickly. So investors need to be sure that their assets are protected against any war damages, and that on top of that, investors also need to be sure that they get their money from the market. So the market prices look attractive compared to European market prices, but in the past, Ukraine has had a relatively mixed record in terms of staying with its commitments. And here, an international guarantee fund might be one of the options to quickly bring in lots and lots of investments that Ukraine would need to sustain not only this winter but also after that. I think with that, I hand over to Olga.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Georg and Susanna, for having me here. So my name is Olga Yevstygneeva. I am a decarbonization expert under the Reform and Recovery Support Team under the Ministry of Energy, and I am working mostly with the legislation. And I would like to start that the entrance to the climate mitigation policies, internal climate mitigation policies in Ukraine, is the CBAM regulation. And that is a big problem that we are not talking about this a lot, but from 2026 we will have the payment stage of the CBAM, and we need somehow to manage this. And the electricity sector, that is the only sector which can obtain the temporary derogation till 2030 in the payment stage. And that is why we are strictly to the CBAM regulation just to fulfill all the conditionalities and to have this derogation period, just to have our electricity market stable, because that is not about only the export opportunities, that is about the market coupling. And Ukraine is part of ANSO-E. Also, we are trying to be the part of the ANSO-G and to have all the market couplings, which is very vital for Ukraine and the European Union. And actually, that is very important, that the fulfilling of these conditionalities depends on the Ministry of Energy under the market coupling issues, but of course under the other Ministry of Environmental Protection and other stakeholders, if we are talking about the carbon pricing, about the equivalent carbon price. And that is totally understandable for all of us. That's it's more wise to collect the carbon tax if we are talking about the fiscal instruments, or if we are talking about the market instruments, the ETS payments internally in Ukraine, and then have the possibility to redistribute this to the decarbonization purposes in Ukraine, because we have not these policies in Ukraine till the independence. And now actually we have a possibility to establish this, and we are hardly working on the ETS comparable price with the Ministry of Economy, with the Ministry of Environmental Protection, also on some studies in the Energy Tax Directive and redesigning of the carbon tax and other ecological tax and so on and so forth. And that is why we, on behalf of the Green Deal Ukraine, also who supports us a lot in scientific and study sphere, established the study under the CBAM regulation in Ukraine, just to examine how CBAM will affect Ukraine economy and foreign trade relations with the European Union. So that is like the first study on this after the full-scale invasion, because Any other estimations which we had, that is before the full-scale invasion, and they are like outdated, and we need to have some more new information about this. That is why we want to discover 3 main scenarios and some sub-scenarios. For example, like reference scenarios, no CBAM. The second scenario is like the CBAM stage with the phase out of the free allowances till 2035. And the third scenario also, if Ukraine will have the derogation period, just to have this noted. And also some sub-scenarios we want to expand to other scopes of emissions and to other geographic expansions of the CBAM to other countries, for example, China, Canada, USA, and so on and so forth, just to understand all the trade deviations which we will have on this. And our policy outputs, the main is like some specific business data, just to understand the capital returns and some investments on this side. Also some macroeconomic indicators like GDP deflator, some labor trends, and so on and so forth, and like the trade deviations. So we are now working under this CBAM studying, and we are very open. We suggest like everybody, if you have some new assumptions to this scenario, just contact us, and we will amplify them in a appropriate manner, and to collaborate with us under the climate mitigation issues, because that is the only way for Ukraine to have the renewable energy and hydrogen energy competitive with the fossil fuel, and to rebuild actually Ukraine green. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Olga. So before we hand over to Adam Balog, just very briefly to you guys, do you have any questions on our Green Deal Ukraine project, on the 3 studies that this project is currently developing? If that's the case, please raise your hand, ask your question. Question? Okay, no question. I hand over then to Adam Balog, and you can still ask questions at the end as well. Adam, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I will start the timer to make sure that I stay on time, and I'll come to next to you, Susanne, so I can see what I'm talking about. It's all good. Thanks. Yes, so I will quickly talk about the Energy Community Secretariat's activities in the context of the war in Ukraine. So Energy Community is an international organization seated in Vienna, and without the war, our main mandate, based on the treaty establishing the energy community, is the harmonization of energy and climate legislation of our contracting parties with that of the European Union, so that we have one common energy market, and also climate targets are set similarly, or the procedure should be the same as in the European Union. Now, in the context of the war, we are doing obviously other stuff as well, but in order to transition nicely from the topic of Susanne and colleagues, I would like to also mention you the activities with regard to the governance regulation, and specifically the National Energy and Climate Plan of Ukraine. So under the governance regulation, obviously, Ukraine had to prepare the National Energy and Climate Plan draft, which has been announced here on the URC. And Energy Community Secretariat provided comments to that, again in line with the governance regulation, which have been published on 5th of June 2024. Yes. And then the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine will adopt the NECP, taking due account of the recommendations submitted. And Energy Community, together with the international stakeholders in the framework of the G7 cooperation, also organized a high-level advisory group where our international partners could also participate in the NECP drafting of Ukraine. Now, next steps, importantly, establishing an effective framework for implementing the NECP is key, and to keeping track and monitoring, and involving in that process also the international partners, be it European Commission, be it, of course, Energy Community, like yourselves, so that the NECP can be implemented effectively and can be monitored going forward, because that's the next step after adopting it. Now, I will now talk about assistance provided to Ukraine and how we try to do that. These are photos from the last wave of attacks starting on 22nd of March against the energy infrastructure. First of all, there is the in-kind assistance path, where working together with the European Commission's DG ECHO, private entities can offer mostly used equipment. It can of course also be new, but in a lot of cases what are offered are equipment which are coming out due to investment programs on the grids in district heating, switching to renewable district heating and having old boilers which are still perfectly functional. And those are huge help which can be quickly installed in Ukraine and then help for preparing for the winter. And the clock is ticking, it's 4.5 months left. So boilers, just as you said, Georg, boilers, gas turbines, but also very importantly, grid repair equipment, high voltage and medium low voltage grid are all unfortunately quickly and easily usable. And would you have contacts or would you have interest in getting such equipment to Ukraine, then get in touch with us and we can channel it through the Union Civil Protection Mechanism with the help of the Emergency Response Coordination Center ERCC of DG ECHO. Now, we also have, and checking the clock, we also have the Ukraine Energy Support Fund set up based on the endorsement and request of Commissioner Simpson of DG ENER, which, okay, these are still the data from our in-kind assistance so far. We are already at 150 donations, approximately 5,600 tons of equipment and liquid. You can see the numbers from all countries. It's not only European Union, but also Norway, UK. We also assisted shipment from Korea, and the EU system can also assist shipments from overseas, provided that the equipment is brought to Poland, and from there on, the EU system can finance and send it to the final beneficiaries in Ukraine, working together with the Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Infrastructure. In that context, we also have the most urgent needs list, which is also communicated to international partners. But if someone is interested to check their equipment base, which they could be donated, we are ready to send the official list from Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Infrastructure. It's also on our website, this infographics, and you can see some examples which made their way to Ukraine. And now to the fund, yes. So the Ukraine Energy Support Fund is collecting donations from states, independent states, but also from the private sector, and is still open for pledges. I will not go deeply into the details of how it works, but basically based on the support requests of the Ministry of Energy, procurement is carried out through a procurement agent, and Energy Community Secretariat is the fiduciary and pays directly to the vendors, to the suppliers, once a supply contract has been concluded. And everything is based on the request of the Ministry of Energy for a list of eligible companies which are approved in the annex of the legal framework of the fund. So far, it's approximately, we are quickly approaching 500 million euros of pledges and contributions. You can see the breakdown. It's quite small ones. Largest donor is Germany as of now, followed by the UK. We have large contributions from US, Sweden, Denmark, Austria, and I will not name all the countries, sorry for that, but all the data is on our website also available, and we have quarterly and annual reports to keep the transparency of the process. Apart from in-kind donation, Ukraine Energy Support Fund, we also have, stemming partially also from our default mandate, the observatory, the Energy Market Observatory, which is under the martial law in Ukraine, is keeping track of the status of the market with regards to the ideal situation as it should be in line with the legal acquis of the energy community. So where there have been also in cases understandably step backs compared to the harmonized practices, we of course take note of it as in line with the treaty and in line with the legal obligations. Eventually those gaps should be alleviated going forward once the possibility is there on the energy, electricity, gas markets, etc. And we are keeping track of those developments and also formulate recommendations. On the other side, we have the Ukraine Legal Support Platform, where we are working together with the Ukrainian energy infrastructure operator companies based on memorandums of understanding in order to find ways to act on international tribunals and claim the caused damages on the energy infrastructure of Ukraine. And in this regard, we are coordinating, working together with renowned international law firms who are providing pro bono assistance for that work. So to wrap up, in-kind donations, Ukraine Energy Support Fund open for contributions for countries, but also for the private sector. We have millions of euros pledged by the private sector as well. We have the observatory, which is keeping track of the market changes. We have the National Energy and Climate Plan, NECP activities, and the UA Legal Support Platform. And yes, ready for questions. Thank you very much. And I kept my time. Thanks.
Who wants to ask a question or any comment on anyone's end, please? And introduce yourself, please.
Добрий день. Якщо можна, я українською мовою.
Thank you. With your permission, I would like to speak Ukrainian.
You don't need this.
Yes, sir.
Number one. Добрий день. Мене звуть
Good afternoon. My name is Oleksiy Kovalenko. I am the head of an NGO, and we support one of the municipalities in the Dnipro region, the Solomon town, with a population of 40,000. But this is the territory that needs reconstruction. They're rather ambitious as a community, as a municipality. They are developing their development plan for their municipality, and they're interested in developing green energy. The question is, what would you recommend them to do from the practical point of view? They are a small Ukrainian municipality, but they're looking for partners in Europe with whom they can establish partner relations and share best practices. What should they do? How should they provide for the green rebuilding, green reconstruction, and further actions in compliance with the Green Deal?
I maybe start and then hand over to Adam and colleagues. Yeah. First of all, our Green Deal Ukraine project is running a capacity building program for local energy advisors. We are starting now. We start in Ivano-Frankivsk region, and we are happy to continue in Dnipro region. That means very down-to-earth solutions, assessing what is the need in a place, assessing what can be done in the place, and matchmaking funders, companies, etc. I think then what are the solutions? First of all, it's a great idea to go for decentralized solutions in the time where energy security cannot be met continuously on a central level. And therefore, renewables plus storage, geothermal energy, ideally in the future smart grids. So there is a couple of such solutions, and there is a need for pilots and learning community from community to go for this. I maybe hand over to Adam first. What is energy communities' role in the funding side? Also, we know that in the second pillar from the Ukraine plan is funding available also for municipalities and in other areas.
Thank you very much. Yes, so in very practical terms, we are working with the Ministry of Infrastructure, Regions and Territories, who are also collecting the needs from the local regions. So first practical step is that the municipalities you work with should submit their equipment needs to the regions, who then channel it to Ministry of Infrastructure, who then shares it internationally also with us. And we are sharing those lists with international partners for equipment donations. Now, in this respect, we are working already together, for example, with decommissioned solar power equipment from Luxembourg and from Germany, and new one actually from Switzerland, which are being taken to municipalities such as Chortkiv, Trostanets, and they are implementing projects with used equipment for the local services, ensuring that in case of blackout, they also have electricity. And I understand these are small municipalities, but if they can find European partners who would be ready to donate them equipment, be it PV or be it wind, which can be linked to the local networks or linked to their own supply of water services, sewage, or schools, hospital, whatever, then we can assist with getting that equipment from the donor to the municipality in Ukraine. Hope this helps somewhat. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I will give you my card and super happy to stay in touch. Other questions? Okay, if there's no more questions, I think you saw also in our common presentation that we work very closely together, Energy Community, Green Deal Ukraine program. We have Artur Lorkowski in our advisory board. If you want to follow the activities of Energy Community, of Green Deal Ukraine, please look at our websites. And also for those that are interested, we are just now dashing for Green Deal Ukraine to another event, which is about research, development, innovation for sustainable reconstruction. Feel free to join us. It is on the website of our project together with the ministers of both countries. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you very much to our panelists, as well as for your flawless time discipline. So we really appreciate it. And that caps a memorable 2 days here, really. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we have been fast, right?
Fascinating.
Thanks a lot.
Flawless. Yeah. Is that okay?
Comply with the rules, yeah.
Well, you're in charge. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you very much. It's been a fascinating 2 days where we've heard ideas on business ventures happening inside Ukraine right now. And I think if we're learning anything, it's that reform and repair equals opportunity in many regards. We've seen plans for future cities whilst the country very much still battles this existential threat posed by Russia's invasion. And you've just heard there the green ambitions and constructive work which is taking place right now as well, as planned blackouts continue in Ukraine as we speak, as infrastructure is targeted. I'd like to encourage those still here, if you would like to make your way to the plenary room Kyiv, which is upstairs. So we're now going to urge you away from here, but I'd just like to thank all of the speakers over the past 2 days, as well as yourselves for coming. If you could make your way to the plenary room Kyiv upstairs for the closing plenary, we would appreciate it. Thank you.